this is quite the video here. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in, Sistas fans as well as girlfriend fans. We are going to discuss which show is better, but only season 1. Because, well, to be fair, Sistas only had season 1 so far. And even though Girlfriends had, what, was it 8 seasons? Look, I forgot the number, but I just decided that, you know what, here's a video that I honestly should have done a while ago. I mean, with Girlfriends being on Netflix, the complete series, it just never occurred to me to do it. But I guess because of the hype of Sister Season 2 coming this week, Wednesday night, 9 to 11 p.m., we're getting 2 episodes on Wednesday night. I figured, why not do this video? So I actually spent the past, because I started like last week, but either way, it took a few days because, you know, I was working on other things, but I binge watch. Wait, well, was it technically a binge because I didn't do it all in one? Basically, I spent a few days and I watched the entirety of Girlfriend season 1, just to put it simple. So what I'm going to do, I broke this into 9 categories, and I could probably think of more, but I feel like 9 is a solid number just for the sake of avoiding a tie. So let me just go over the different categories so you get an idea of where I'm coming from with this video. And again, just because one show comes out over the other by the end of this video, that doesn't necessarily mean one is bad and one's the best, because remember, I'm only judging from season 1. Who's to say Sistas couldn't improve to the point where people will say that Sistas is officially better than Girlfriends? I don't know. There are a lot of factors involved. But when it comes down to it, I just decided to go by theme song, the season or the series premiere, the season 1 finale, comedy, drama, characters, the camera work, basically, you know, the behind the scenes, like production and whatnot, the cast chemistry, which is, I mean, for me, characters is its own category because I'll just go into like the different personalities of the main cast. But I feel like cast chemistry is something that is more important than almost anything else, because you want to believe that these, you know, ladies are indeed friends. And I honestly feel like that's one of the most important things of almost any show in regards to the main cast. And finally, the writing. And yeah, let's jump into it. But before getting started, please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up. I know you might not agree with my opinions on this, so even if you dislike it, I'd like it if you hit the thumbs up button anyway. Go ahead and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. My various forms of social media and the other platforms I'm on aside from YouTube, links to everything will be down in the description box below. And yeah, so hit that subscribe button to round things out so we can get to 1 million subscribers someday. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Again, guys, this is season 1, Tyler Perry Sistas versus season 1, Girlfriends. 9 rounds, different categories. In the comments section, what I would like is if, you know, you can list the categories and tell me who you feel like the winner is. And remember, it's theme song, series premiere, season 1 finale, comedy, drama, characters, the camera work or production, cast chemistry, and writing. Okay, so the first round is theme song, and I gotta admit, this is a tough call because Girlfriends, I do believe, has a longer theme song than Sistas. But it's a difficult call because of the fact that Sistas, while short, is extremely catchy. My girls hold me down, them boys were so round. Because of the fact that you have such a short theme song, but it's still addictive. It says a lot. But I will say, Girlfriends, I feel, has the edge simply because of the fact that there are different visuals. I think there are about 3 different versions of the theme song, where the theme song is the same in terms of the music, the melody, and the lyrics. But in regards to the visuals, I mean, the first couple of seasons, you got the girls, it's like, you know, fast moving visuals. They're kind of dancing. I think it's like an emphasis on, like, you know, the the character pops up, then you kind of see their shoes or their feet like dancing, and then they got their name, and they're kind of just having fun like in the city, kind of like nightlife or whatever. And then I love Reggie, what is it, Reggie Hayes, aka William. I think my favorite version of the theme song with him in it is that first one, because you got the four ladies, introduced during the theme song, and you got William at the end. He's smiling, he just kind of look around like, I don't even know why I'm here, but I'm here, and I just love that. So there's also, I feel like, the iconic slow motion, which I do believe is the second variation of the theme song intro, where you have the black, just a black background, and you got the four women, all posing, and then they're, slowly walking. Then you got William at the end. That's, I feel, the most iconic Girlfriends opening. And then I think the third and final theme song is when, unfortunately, it's only Maya, Joan, and Lynn, since Tony was out of the show at that point. But it was still a good theme song, but I feel like that second one is the most iconic. So I think I will give this category to Girlfriends, but that's only because of the longevity of it, and again, the visuals. Sistas, again, is catchy. The women look beautiful in the opening, but I will say this: when it comes down to which song would I just listen to on a whim, I would probably say Girlfriends, because I just like, anytime I hear it, I'm like moving in my seat like, my girls hold me down. Girlfriends is like, as a man, it's like, yes. Because I believe Angie Stone sings that theme song. And I'm just like, her voice matches like the tone and the feel of that song. So again, I will give it to Girlfriends, but Sisters theme song is no slouch anyway. But Girlfriends, to me, wins the theme song category. Now we're going to go to episode 1, aka the series premiere of Girlfriends and Sisters. It's hard, and again, it's hard to even like say which one is like officially better, because I don't want to speak negative on either show, because it's only the first episode. It's like episode 1 is like supposed to set the tone and whatnot, and I'm going to say more about this in the comedy section, but the thing about it is Girlfriends has a laugh track while Sisters does not. I feel like the first episode of Girlfriends, it had some scenes, specifically, I believe, when Maya and Joan are in her office at work. And, we're just getting introduced to the characters. And there are definitely some scenes where you can tell it's supposed to be a comedic moment. And I'm not even going to say overacting, because, when women are excited, they're really, yeah, girl, yeah. And then, William's like, hey, you got to quiet down. White people in here listening to us. So there were some moments where it felt kind of like maybe they needed a laugh track, but it wasn't there. But obviously I understood it was supposed to be funny. But with Sisters, I feel like what seals the deal for me is the way that they presented Andy in that episode, because her first scene, powerful, when she was representing her client, and she got her client like millions of dollars more and the house than she originally wanted in the settlement. Because that showed you right there, like, Andrea Barnes is someone who is not to be trifled with. But I will say that, you also look at episode 1 from the factor of, okay, Jeremy is about all four main characters and William. But in any case, I feel like Sisters, in terms of which one I would rewatch again, plus my boo Jasmine appeared at the end, I would have to give it to Sisters in terms of the series premiere. I think that series premiere of Sisters won out, because I feel like Girlfriends was a good first episode. I believe the first episode was called Toe Sucker, when Toe Sucker, where Joan had an ex, and then Tony was dating this ex, and she invites him to Joan's birthday party, and then turns out Tony has a change of heart about how she can't date her best friend's ex. And then it was a very good episode. William just was my favorite part of the episode with his stupid comedy. He's like, yeah, after a few drinks, I'll be anybody's. And he looks at the guy unintentionally because they're standing next to each other. It's like, oh no, not you, man. So I will say that, yeah, I think that Sisters episode 1 did a better job of presenting what the show is supposed to be. Girlfriends was kind of finding itself, but at the same time, it was a good episode. So Category 2 premiere, I would give it to Sistas. We get to finale. And remember, when it comes to a season finale, it's kind of a culmination of everything we've gone through up until that point in the series. You know, basically because it's the season 1 finale. It's like, okay, we're going to wrap up season 1, but also set the stage for season 2. And I will admit, I got to give it to Sistas simply because that last scene where Gary got arrested by the feds, that left everyone's jaw dropped. And the fact that people have been wanting to get the next scene for months now. However, Girlfriends did have a decent finale as well. Because Girlfriends, it was Tony was about to get married, and then Joan unintentionally spoiled the fact that there was another guy involved. Then he broke it off with Tony, and Tony attacked Joan, but thankfully the other girls were there to break up the fight. And then the final scene was Joan coming back from Jamaica, and Tony was there with her man. So that indeed was a shocking cliffhanger in itself. But to be completely honest, I think what I'm giving the edge on Sistas for is the fact that by this point of the season, the pacing, the characters, I feel like they really hit their stride. And the fact that there was a lot going on in that final episode was great. And I still stand on my opinion that episode 24, the penultimate episode, was better than the actual finale. The finale did a great job of calling back to certain things. Like, again, I'm a sucker for flashbacks. Like, so when Gary's explaining to Andy while they're moving out, a few hours from the city and all, and Andy reflected on Jasmine's warning to her in the hospital about he will isolate you, make you dependent on him, and this and that. He'll cut you off from the friends. And then you have the situation with, I believe, what was it? Karen getting saved by Zach, and Sabrina. I don't even know if Calvin was in the finale. And then, of course, you had Danny and Preston. They were on good terms. So I think that I will give the season 1 finale up to Sistas, but that's just my opinion. Now we go over to the comedy aspect. Now, I got to to me, it's a no-brainer. I will give it to Girlfriends because William alone is enough to suffice for the comedy category because his comedic timing and sometimes like the dry humor he has where he says things that are, obviously a bit inappropriate, but at the end of the day, it's very, very, hilarious just the way he interacts with these 4 strong black women. But at the same time, he can hold his own when he rightfully calls them out when they're foul. And not to mention, like, Lynn, in terms of like the 4 main women, I think that Lynn represents the comedic one out of the group. Joan is the serious one, Maya is the ghetto one, and Tony is the bougie one. And not to jump too far into the category of characters, but I do feel like Sistas does have, the likes of Maurice, who is arguably my favorite character on Sistas, Danny, and those two to me are the one, and Zach to an extent. I mean, Zach and Danny, comedic gold. Like, I don't even want, some people like kind of ship them together, but I think that when it comes down to it, I like those two as a comedic married couple as opposed to being a legit couple in the show, if you get what I'm saying. But I think that Girlfriends does win it out because it does have a laugh track, and it's really odd for me to say that. It's like, well, then again, it's not overused like some of the Tyler Perry stuff, but I think the comedy in Girlfriend sticks to the ribs more than Sistas because sometimes I feel like it tries too hard to insert comedy in serious scenes. So I do think that Girlfriends wins this category. But okay, hang on a sec. There is one like little asterisk I want to put in this, but I do feel like it might be, I feel like this can go into the drama, comedy, and the writing sections. You know what? I will save that. Let me jot that down. Asterisk and okay. And if you're curious what I'm talking about, I won't make you fully wait till the end of it. Let me just say that there are some certain topics within the Girlfriend series that wouldn't fly today or age well, so I'll just save that for later in the video. Then we go over to the next category. This is a rough one. Drama. Because I have girlfriends as the winner, but I do have 3 question marks after it because of the fact that drama itself, just because the stakes are high, if the story surrounding those stakes isn't good, it's not well cooked. I don't know. I'm hungry right now, so I just thought about steak. Like when I said steaks, I was thinking like steaks, medium rare, well done, whatever. I feel like in Sistas, it's all about the journey to the consequences. It's like when you look at a character like Andy, you're looking at the entire season like, well, she's messing around with a married man. She's blissfully ignorant. But at the same time, you don't really feel bad for her in the final episode because it was a shocking scene, but she brought this on herself. But then again, you learn that, well, she learned from Leslie that she literally had a lot of people working against her. It wasn't just Gary. I think, though, when it comes to the drama, and again, another example is Karen. It's like, Aaron is like, you're messing around with this dude whose ex's family has tried multiple times to threaten or kill you or stalk you. Yet you're still going to associate with this guy without seeing that, you know, Fawn and her family are crazy, but this Aaron guy, maybe he's not a saint like he presents himself to be, because he is apparently a pastor, if I remember correctly. Danny, her drama with the girls, man, that was one of my least favorite parts of season 1. And then the Sabrina thing, at first, you know, I felt for her in regards to Calvin, but at the same time, it got to the point where you're just asking everyone's opinion about Calvin, and Calvin told you who he really is, but you still want to be with him because he's attractive. But with girlfriends, I think that the drama felt a bit more real because of the fact that when the ladies clashed, it made sense and it felt believable. Because of the fact that you have the clash, I feel like the biggest conflicts were Lynn mooching off the other girls, specifically Tony and Joan. Maya and Tony were just, I remember when I was little, like when I was a kid, I did think that Tony and Maya were like related because of the fact they really did favor each other a bit in the face, obviously complexion wise, but I feel like I think Tony was a little bit darker than Maya. Maya's eyes were different than Tony, but I literally thought they were sisters because I think because they're constant bickering back and forth and the fact that they did kind of favor each other. But then my mom's like, no, they're not sisters in real life and they aren't sisters on the show. But it literally, I did think that when I was a kid. But you got the bougie and the ghetto friends in the group going at it. Joan is trying to be the peacekeeper. And then Tony just being a awful friend. It is ridiculous. So I do think that the drama in Girlfriends, I think Sistas had bigger stakes. So I think Sistas might actually win the category. But at the same time, I feel like Girlfriends had drama that felt more believable when it came to like the conflict between the women. So for right now, I'm just going to leave drama open-ended. Maybe by the time I finish recording, I'll come back to it. Like I said, I picked 9 categories to avoid any kind of tie. But the more I think about it out loud, because I got notes on both shows in front of me while I'm recording this. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult to pick which one had the best when it came to the actual drama. All right. Well, I took a little break in between recording after I finished the drama category. And I just thought about it. I'm going to give the category to Sistas because when I think drama, I can't really just think about the drama that happens within a given story, but also the outcomes of said drama, such as, I was just thinking about the episode Home for a Queen when Maurice was explaining the situation involving being assaulted by, what the heck is the dude's name? It was the ex-ball player that assaulted Maurice outside the bank. I cannot think of his name right now. And again, Sistas comes on in about 2 days from the time I'm recording this, so I will try to get the names back, but I cannot think of the dude's name. What was it? Lorenzo, right? And then you look at Miss Lisa. Whenever she came on, she had some great advice for Karen, or not just Karen, but even Andy said in one scene, I need to call your mother because she always gives the best advice. And Zach, when he called out Danny for like, see, that's what women do. It's like you tell us men to do something, like you told Preston to stop calling you as much, stop blowing up your phone, stop coming over. And then as soon as he doesn't do that, or excuse me, as soon as he does exactly what you say, he's the bad one. Men are trash. Moments like that where people get called out for the bull crap. And even though Jasmine and Morris were having their own situations of planning behind the scenes to get Gary and Andy, even Jasmine was rightfully calling out Andy. And then also another thing is when you look at the Morris trying to assault Andy in the parking lot, but then Andy did her homework and then boom, hit up Morris about the fact that he's done this to multiple women before. I think that the drama, I'm going to give it to Sistas. It took a little bit of thinking, but yeah, Sistas win. So let's see. That was category number 5. At the moment, Sistas is winning 3-2. Let's go over to category number 6, which currently is blank because I decided that what I'll do is just discuss this out loud and then I can possibly make a decision. I do have like the character names written down. Lynn, Tony, Joan, Maya on Girlfriends, Karen, Danny, Sabrina, Andy on Sistas. And then I thought about it, if this category should include like, secondary cast members. It's a tough one because the main cast are the ones you see the most of, but they're not the only cast members you see. It's like, like the people they date, or, like I guess you could say William and Girlfriends and Maurice and Sisters are, I guess you could say, counterparts of each other. Only difference is, obviously one is straight, one is gay, but they're both black men who are arguably like the best characters in their respective series. Let's just focus on the main cast for right now. Okay, so let's just look at the friend groups here. Okay, so you got Lynn, who is the fun-loving, free spirit moocher, who's well educated, but just doesn't want to get a job. You got Tony, who is the bougie one of the group, who, well, takes advantage, just walks all over Joan. Joan is I guess you could say possibly the most financially successful, because I think in episode 1, she's like, what is it, junior partner or something at the law firm? But at the same time, she wants a man more than anything else. And then you have Maya, who's the ghetto member of the group, but is a good friend. All right, so you go over to the Sisters category, and like Joan, Andy works in the firm of law, and her specialty is, I believe, divorce. And kind of like Joan, she almost wants a man by almost any means necessary. I feel like at least in season 1, I don't think Joan was dating anyone who was married like Andy, but not to jump too far ahead because of the fact that I want to stick with season 1. Throughout this girlfriend series, Joan gets involved with people that she doesn't honestly want to be with, but she'll put up with her, I guess you could say, reservations about the relationship just to have a man. Like early in season 1, she was dating a guy with noticeable hips who had to wear I forgot, but I should have jotted it down. What the hell? I don't think it was a girdle, but it was just something that a woman wears around their waist or something because of hips. I forgot what it was called, but I know Joan found it in his bedroom under the bed when she was saying that, oh, I was looking for the bathroom. No, you weren't. And then you have Sabrina, who I feel is like the most down to earth of the group to an extent. She's pretty much like the peacekeeper. You have, and I don't want to call it superficial either, because of the fact that the whole Calvin thing is you are really only dating him because he is attractive. I'm not saying that there isn't a connection between the two, but when you look at how Sabrina was acting around him, it's like because of his flamboyant and open-mindedness. And that was kind of a turning point for, I mean, what was it? A lot of people like when he was having fun with Sabrina's toys. That was like, okay. Then you have Danny, who's like the kind of like the Lynn to an extent. It's almost like these women are kind of different fusions of each other to an extent. I'll get to that in a second. And then you have Karen, who is a hardworking. I don't even want to say. I feel like Danny is the loudmouth, while Karen is the one who will talk to you like. It's difficult to compare the two. Okay, you have Danny who will say anything. Karen also says anything, but really she's more about. She's not gonna bite her tongue. Is pretty much it. It's like Danny is a loudmouth in a fun kind of way, while Karen is the one who's like she ain't gonna take no mess. So let me put it this way. I think Danny is kind of like the freeloader to the extent of Sistas, but not to the extent of Lynn. Because think of it this way. Joan works at a law firm. Maya is her assistant or secretary because of the fact that you look, and I'll get more into this in the cast chemistry, but Joan sees potential in Maya. And then you have Tony, who I believe works in real estate, where she like sells houses and whatnot. And then Lynn, and again, only talking about season 1 here, she's still in college. She's like living in between the girls' houses, like Tony and Joan. And she doesn't want to go out into the real world and whatnot. And to be honest, I was actually watching Digimon Adventure, The Last Evolution. Not to go all nerd here, but that was a good movie. I think I cried twice during that movie because of the fact that it reminded me of Lynn and how that reminds me of myself, where you're constantly staying in school to get degrees because you don't want to go into the real world because you're unsure of what you want to do. Okay, I'm not like Lynn where I'm like, yeah, the system tells me to get a job and all. I'm not doing that. I want to be well educated. Well, that doesn't matter because, if you have student loan debt and you are just postponing the inevitable. And Ty and Matt had to go through the same kind of situation in Digimon where, they're still saving the world from random Digimon attacks, but their other friends have kind of found their path in life while they're kind of, about to finish their undergrad, where they're like, okay, am I going to go to graduate school? Am I going to look for a job? What am I going to do? Yeah, I know that's a random example. It might turn off some viewers, but dang it, I just watched it a few hours ago. So there we go. But Lynn, I feel like reminds me of me where I got like a bunch of degrees, but at the same time, I'm not mooching off people though. That's the one thing. So I will say like Danny is a mix between the ghetto-ness of Maya and the mooching of Lynn, but she does have a job though. I mean, like it was brought up how she always goes to dinner and lunch with the girls and then, gets big meals and then they pay for them instead of her and this and that. So I think like Danny has traits of both Lynn and Maya. Karen, I feel, has also the same trait of Maya of speaking her mind, not taking crap from anyone. And she is like a self-starter though, because even though Andy did invest in a beauty shop to let her get it, she is really someone who is trying to work her way up in the world through her own business. So that's admirable. Sabrina, to me, she has the peacekeeper persona of Joan. She works at a bank, so, and nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to like see if there's anybody in the girlfriend category that fits that bill, but no. So I guess you could say like in a way Sabrina's kind of like Joan because her partner who works at the window next to her is Maurice, kind of like how Maya works right outside Joan's door. And then also the fact that if you want to talk from the male counterpart, William works at the same law firm as Joan and Maya. So, that's why William does have like the Maurice are kind of like comparable to each other. And then when you look at Andy, works in law like Joan, kind of wants a man at any cost like Joan. It's like, a situation where she will deal with certain things just to be with a man she wants. So what's her persona fit though? It's like her thing is because over time she began to isolate her friends because of her man, because we know that Tony and Joan were friends since they were little kids. Then they met Lynn in college, and then after that Maya came into the fold because Joan allowed her to work for her. So Maya was kind of like the new member of the group. But it appears that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the sister, and again, I don't want to jump too far into the cast chemistry category, but I think the sisters are like relative. Okay, well, we do know that Karen and Sabrina knew Andy in college because of her abusive relationship then. I don't know if Danny was in their friend group at the time. I could be wrong. But yeah. So I do feel like when it comes to the characters, we got to go into the relatability. And I think that you got 4 women in both shows who are from different walks of life. I like the fact that Tyler broke it down where you have a woman in the law firm, a woman in a bank, a woman who has her own business, hair salon, and then a woman who works at the airport. Then on Girlfriends, you have, like I said before, a real estate agent, a free spirit in college, a woman who works in a law firm, and then a woman who's her assistant. And then you look at the other characters like William and Maurice, and then, like Miss Lisa, Calvin, Jasmine, Gary, the people at the law firm who work with Joan. Then with Andy. Then on Girlfriends, you have the guy who runs the restaurant. I forgot his name. And then you have, like Yvonne, some of the people like they were dating. I would say that in terms of characters, this is a tough one. The relatability, though, of Girlfriends is real. I will come back to this one. Let me put an asterisk by it. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I cannot choose at the moment. Okay, let's go over to the next category, camera work. Looking at some of the episodes of season 1, it looks like it could be upgraded like an HD or something if possible, but I got to give this category, it's a no-brainer. Sistas wins camera work, hands down. Like Tyler Perry, like I said about a lot of Tyler Perry projects, regardless of like the quality of the writing and the acting and whatnot, I think that when it comes down to it, the man knows how to get a strong angle shot to convey the right emotion, like the lighting. Go back and watch like the first couple episodes of Girlfriends, and you can kind of see what I mean, where it does look a bit dated in regards to like the production value, but that's season 1. And it does get better over time, but I definitely have to give the camera work to Sistas. Cast chemistry, and since I did a big spiel on character, I don't really need to spend a lot of time on this one. I will give it to Girlfriends just because of the fact that I do think that the weakness of Sistas in terms of that season 1, especially during like the first portion, a majority of season 1 to be honest, it didn't feel like these girls were truly a group of friends. What I mean by that is we rarely saw them together as a group. I think we saw them together mainly in crisis mode, especially if it had something to do with like Gary, when Andy found out that Gary was playing her, when, Andy lost her job, I think that's when they got back I know there was like a seance or something they had on the floor at one of their houses, or was it Danny's apartment? I forgot. But like in episode 1, I could tell like, well, we really don't spend a lot of time with the girls as a group. At least in Girlfriends we did. And I know I gave the premiere episode to Girlfriends, but I think that Sistas did carry that first episode stronger. Kind of going back to like, I forgot to mention this. When you go back to like the comedy and whatnot, you got a lot of cutaways where it's just Joan talking to the audience, breaking the fourth wall. It felt a bit awkward in those first few episodes. So that's why I think William made up for that, because if William wasn't as strong comedically, I would have given the category of comedy to Girlfriends, but it doesn't always feel as forced as Sistas. So, just to go back to that subject, I think that Girlfriends wins because even though there is tension and friction within the group, specifically between Maya and Joan, it's like it's almost like, in a way, Tony and Maya are kind of like the angel and the devil on Joan's shoulders, where Maya is the person that's telling Joan to stand up for herself and not take people's crap, where Tony's the one who is like, just be submissive and let people walk all over you. And Lynn is just raiding the refrigerator. So I think that it does feel more believable because we see the girls together more than we do with the Sistas cast. So I will say, because it definitely felt, and this was a portion of the drama in season 1, because it was brought up especially between Sabrina and Danny, where Karen and Andy kind of had their own little group, and then Danny and Sabrina were left in the dust, and then Danny felt left out because apparently the girls would talk about her behind her back. So I think the cast chemistry, I'm definitely going to give that to Girlfriends. And, you know, that was a tough call, but I think Girlfriends does squeeze it out just a little bit more. All right, so if you've been keeping tally so far, Ruthless, tally, just a joke. No, I seriously don't know when Ruthless is coming back, sadly. We only have one more category left, and that's writing. Technically, characters are still left, you know, oblivious. I will let you know my winner in that category in just a second. But when it comes down to the writing, I remember when I posted the initial post about this versus video, people automatically were like, yo, Girlfriends writing hands down. Tyler does it all himself, and Girlfriends literally had, you know, black women writing it. I gotta admit, Girlfriends is the clear winner in this category. Honestly, I should have added another category, and that category would have been pacing. But again, it would have been a Girlfriends winner because of the fact that I completely forgot that Girlfriends is a 21-minute show. Again, I'm not counting commercial. 21 minutes. Girlfriends is more or less between 38 to 42. But with Girlfriends, you have the dramatic pauses for no reason in between lines of dialogue. So it's a lot of wasted time. Girlfriends is the winner, but I will say, remember that asterisk I mentioned before when I talked about like comedy and drama and whatnot? This is where I explain it. There were a lot of things that didn't really sit too well. Now that I looked at some of the old episodes, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that wouldn't fly past the censors today. Like, people would have been like trending Girlfriends. Basically, it's like whenever there was a hint of a character being, let's say, flamboyant or gay, it was kind of joked about. Like, there were a lot of jokes in certain topics in Girlfriends that were played up for laughs, but they would not be acceptable today. And again, Girlfriends wins, but there is a bit of a stain on that trophy for the category of writing. But I do feel like the writing is stronger in Girlfriends. But I'm not going to sit up here and going back to the drama category, because remember, that was a tough call for me to make. I gave it to Sistas because it did tackle some very strong subjects. Not to say Girlfriends didn't either, but it really shone through or shined through or shone through when Tyler Perry, you know, hit certain topics, because those were glimpses of like, that's the Tyler Perry writing I'm talking about. But I feel like there were more obstacles and hills to climb while watching Sistas than watching Girlfriends, because in 21-minute increments, the episodes didn't feel dragged. I mean, I got through season 1 quicker than I expected. I'm like, well, dang, if I didn't have other things to work on, like other YouTube videos or, you know, eBay stuff to list and package, I could have watched season 1 in one day, because it only would have been like 7 hours or so. But with Sistas, with 42-minute episodes and a lot of the episode parts being, well, a waste of time because of repetitive dialogue and stuff like that, I got to give it to Girlfriends. So remember, characters is the only category left I still haven't fully decided on. So just do a quick recap. We are currently at a tie. And again, I didn't plan this out for dramatic effect. Like, see, Jeremy, you're just trying to do the tension thing. No, I'm completely transparent here. This is how it is. Theme song is Girlfriends. Girlfriends wins in the category. Yeah, Girlfriends wins in the category so far. Theme song, comedy, cast chemistry, and writing. And Sistas wins so far in premiere, finale, drama, and camera work. Now, the last category is characters. And I went on like a 12-minute tangent before, so I really do need to decide. Okay. I do think that when it comes to the relatability and relatability, the chemistry and whatnot, I think that I would probably have to give it to what is this show? What do these shows represent? Four strong black women in the world that they live in. Obviously, they're from different times. You're looking at a show from the, when did Girlfriends come out? The 2000s, right? Like the early 2000s or whatever, versus a show that came out, well, in like 2019 and where we're at now, 2020. I think that both shows tackle strong issues. They represent women in different ways, how they interact with men. This is a tough call because I feel like when it comes to every one of these characters, we know someone in our friend group or families or whatever who fits the bill. Like, obviously, I'm a guy, so I know women who kind of represent a lot of these characters. And I know for female viewers, you might actually have people in your own female friend group. That's why I say I love Bruh so much, because it might not be the best show, but there's a lot of relatability in the main characters. They hit home for different reasons for different people. I think that I would... I think I'm going to give it to Girlfriends. I think I'm going to give it to Girlfriends. Here's why, because honestly, somebody didn't think about it until just now. And this, I honestly should have picked the 10th category and pacing, but I didn't do it. What I feel makes Girlfriends stronger in the character department is because of the fact Sistas does one thing that I didn't like during season 1. Andy. What I mean by that is, I love KJ Smith. They spent so much time focusing on her story, specifically during like the first chunk of season 1. Because I remember for the longest time, people were telling me Andy is like the only reason they're tuned into the show. It made the other characters feel left by the wayside. Like, that's why it felt like the Sabrina Calvin thing felt so dragged out. Like, Sabrina's constantly asking other people what they think about Calvin. Is he too flamboyant and this and that? I think that with the focus being on Andy, it really diminished the storytelling of the other characters, whereas in Girlfriends it really did feel more balanced, where I think it's safe to say that Joan is indeed like the main woman that we're following, but at the same time her connection to her 3 friends and William and then the other characters, it really does drive the story along. So I will give the category of characters to Girlfriends. So in a close battle, guys, it is Girlfriends with 5 and Sistas with 4. So that means the season 1 victor is Girlfriends. Now, I know some people are probably saying that, Jeremy, this was a good video. I liked it. Others might say, Jeremy, this video was much longer than it needed to be. But at the end of the day, and I think that Sistas had, 25 episodes, and Girlfriends had 22 in that first season. I think that rewatching Girlfriends was the right move, because I know it would have been easier to say, because I felt the same way when I first made the poll. I'm like, man, Girlfriends is going to win, no doubt, without a doubt in my mind. It's going to be a wash. But when I rewatched season 1 of Girlfriends, and then I thought about, because I still got my notes from Sistas season 1, not to mention all the videos on the channel, which you should check out my Sistas playlist, which this video will be added to. Sistas had a lot going for it as well. The execution wasn't perfect, but at the same time, remember, it's only season 1. I think that these shows both do a great job representing black women, even though it could be argued that Tyler Perry does the whole stereotype thing. But I think what makes the show I think what makes the show shine is the fact that you have different portions of the black woman in America's life. With both shows. And with Tyler Perry, it's like, I don't really see too much of a stereotype going on with the 4 main characters, because the biggest thing dogging Sistas right now is the whole, well, Tyler should hire a black female or black female writers to do this and that. I mean, it depends. I think Girlfriends does have the longevity factor, though. Like, when it comes down to which show I would rewatch season 1 of over the other, it'll be Girlfriends. But remember, Jasmine got dropped off of, the roof of a parking garage. Yeah, it didn't have... I feel like Yeah, it's good. Okay, I can go on and on. I feel like this video is probably like at past 30 minutes. Look, I recorded in different audio chunks to give myself vocal rest in between because I knew this would be a long one. Because some people be like, girlfriends in all categories. But when you do an effective breakdown of it, when you really think about things through, you'll see that Girlfriends does lose in a couple categories. Now, that's not to say now about like season 3 of Girlfriends, it would have been a complete wash. Like, oh, season 3 of Girlfriends would win in every category over Sistas. But we're only talking season 1 here. And remember, there were some close calls in this battle, like the theme song, the drama, the characters. There were a lot of things that I felt like were very difficult. Like, there were some of the categories where I changed the winner while I was recording this because I thought about it more. I'm like, you know what? No. Now that I think about it. So there we go. We got 2 decent shows that are relative to their time. It's like, comparing, let's say, what's a good example? Because there really aren't a lot of, there isn't anywhere near the amount of black shows there are back in like the UPN days and the WB days. So it's very difficult to, bring a show from back then and compare to what we have now, because back then it was like a who's who. It was like, oh, Girlfriends, Moesha, the Parkers. And that's one of my favorite things during live streams, where we go on those tangents talking about classic black shows and how great they were. Half and Half, I don't remember that one too much, so when it comes on Netflix, I will definitely check it out. I mean, yeah, it's been a while. Essence Atkins, I do believe, is one of the main characters. I forgot the other main character. Remember, like, I don't really know that show like talking about. And I think I said this before. There was a time over the past few months where like old black shows would just pop up in my YouTube recommended. Like, I didn't even know, like Damon Wayans show. I Got a New Attitude. There are like a lot of UPN and TGIF black shows never even knew existed. And I'm like, yo, these shows are great. But there's this one show, Where I Live, where I'm like, yeah, these people back in the day, not just black shows, like they have some weird weird show titles and theme songs. But yeah, that's all I got for this video. A lot longer than I expected. I truly didn't think it would be this long. But let me know which show you felt had the stronger season 1. Girlfriends or Sistas? And remember, Girlfriends, the entire series is on Netflix right now. And Sistas season 2 is coming in just a couple of days on the 14th. The 14th of this month, October 14th, 9 p.m. Eastern time on BET. You know the drill. I probably will watch it live based on my sleeping pattern right now. I'm definitely going to be awake. I will most likely watch the premiere. Yeah, I think it will be best to watch. It is the premiere. I'll be tweeting, and then maybe I'll do a live stream right after that. And, then on Thursday, I'll do my reviews of episodes 1 and 2 of this new season. And like I mentioned before at the beginning, subscribe, hit the bell icon, follow me on social media, give this video a thumbs up. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and I will talk to you next time.